They'll say this video is dangerous. And they're right. What you're about to hear won't just challenge your belief. It will dismantle them. Months, maybe years of your life. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every time you blamed yourself. When the truth was, it was never your fault. Schopenhauer didn't just predict the collapse of modern relationships. He diagnosed your suffering before you were even born. This isn't philosophy. It's a survival guide. Close your eyes. Picture this. A young man, we'll call him Noah, spends his 20s chasing the dream he was sold. Find the one. Build a life. Live happily ever after. He gives everything. Time, money, emotional vulnerability. In return, he's drained, manipulated, ghosted, used. By 35, he's divorced. Financially ruined, spiritually empty. Sound familiar? That's not bad luck. It's not an exception. It's the system. And Schopenhauer saw it coming 200 years ago. In the Metaphysics of Love, he dismantles the romantic myth with surgical precision. He claimed love is not divine, not eternal. It's a biological trap, an illusion engineered by nature to ensure reproduction, not happiness. The butterflies, the obsession, the poetry, all of it just bait. But here's where it gets darker. Modern society didn't just inherit the illusion. It weaponized it. Schopenhauer warned that as women gained social power, an outrageous prediction in his time, the nature of love would shift. From mutual duty to transactional exploitation. He wrote, women are directly adapted to act as the nurses and teachers of our childhood, precisely because they themselves are childish, frivolous, and short-sighted. You want to call that misogyny? Fine. But ask yourself this. In 1850, a man who divorced could lose everything: his children, property, and name overnight. The woman walked away untouched. Sound familiar? He called it the legalized robbery of male labor. Now fast forward. Today, 80% of divorces are initiated by women. And the average man? He loses half his assets and sometimes access to his own children. Take Friedrich, a 19th century German merchant. He married a woman of good standing. She siphoned his money to fund her lover's business. When he filed for divorce, the court sided with her. Why? Her fragile emotional state. Friedrich died penniless. Swap 19th century Germany for modern family court. The script hasn't changed. Just the actors. You were taught that love is salvation. That vulnerability is strength. That sacrifice is noble. Schopenhauer would have laughed. He wrote, a man's happiness lies in doing what he wills. A woman's happiness lies in willing what he does. Translation? The system isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. Extract from men and redistribute to women. But here's the part no one talks about. The prophecy goes deeper. Modern psychology, social media, even the law, all engineered to keep men docile, compliant, useful. You've been conditioned to believe your masculinity is toxic. Your desires are predatory. Your worth? Measured only by what you provide, not by who you are. This isn't dysfunction. It's design. Schopenhauer saw it. He wrote, the more a man becomes aware of his own value, the more he must resist the tyranny of women. Let that sink in. Not partnership. Not love. Tyranny. Today, even psychology has been weaponized. Take emotional labor. Once a feminist. Critique of unpaid domestic effort. Now a guilt trip used to extract more from men under the guise of equality. And the worst part? You've been complicit. You played your role. You believe the script. But belief is a cage. And awakening is. Escape? The first step? You stop apologizing for being a man. They call it emotional labor. Once a feminist critique, now a weapon. A velvet glove hiding a clenched fist. It's been twisted into a tool to guilt men into endless vulnerability. You're told, open up, be vulnerable, share your feelings. But here's the truth Schopenhauer warned us about. Women don't respect weakness in men. A 2019 study published in Social Psychological and Personality Science confirmed it. When men express fear, sadness, or emotional pain, women perceive them as less attractive, less competent, and less desirable as long-term partners. The researchers called it the weakness penalty. Schopenhauer called it nature's law. Meet Oliver, 28, a software engineer. His girlfriend of 3 years begged him to open up. One night, drunk on trust, he told her everything. The bullying, the loneliness, the nights he cried himself to sleep as a boy. She hugged him, told him she loved him. 2 weeks later, she ended the relationship. Her exact words, "I just don't see you as strong anymore." This isn't rare. It's the pattern. Schopenhauer said it plainly. A woman's love is conditional. A man's love is sacrificial. But sacrifice without reciprocity isn't love, it's servitude. If modern psychology is the velvet glove, the legal system is the iron fist. Schopenhauer didn't romanticize marriage. He called it a trap set for men by nature and perfected by society. Let's talk about no-fault divorce. Introduced in the 1970s under the banner of equality, it promised liberation for women in unhappy marriages. But the reality? In the U.S., women initiate 80% of divorces. When the woman earns more, the divorce rate jumps another 50%. The average man loses half his assets and 80% of custody battles. This isn't equality. It's economic predation. Take Robert, a Florida surgeon. He married his college sweetheart, worked 80-hour weeks for decades to give her everything. At 45, she filed for divorce. No infidelity, no abuse. Just, "I'm not happy." She got the house, half his retirement, and $4,000 a month in alimony. Robert now lives alone in a studio apartment. Still working at 62, because he can't afford to stop. Schopenhauer's verdict? The law assumes men are guilty by virtue of existing. Now add the digital layer. Instagram, TikTok, Tinder. These aren't dating tools, they're attention. Economies where women auction beauty for clout and men compete by bleeding validation, money, and self-worth. Schopenhauer foresaw this too. The more choices a woman has, the less capable she becomes of love. Meet Jake, 23, a college student. He matches with a girl on Tinder. They talk for weeks. He takes her out 3 expensive dates. Then, she ghosts him. A month later, he sees her on Instagram in Bali with a man who drives a Lamborghini. Her caption? "Know your worth, queens." This is the paradox of modern love. Women drowning in options become incapable of bonding. Men starving for connection become disposable. But maybe the real enemy isn't women, or the courts, or social media. Maybe the final prison is internal. This is the final layer of Schopenhauer's prophecy. The will turned against itself. A man taught to police his instincts, to view his strength as violence, his ambition as oppression, his pain as weakness, and his suffering as deserved. And worst of all, he enforces this system himself. Man who believes his own oppression is justice becomes the perfect slave. Now for the darkest truth of all. There is a silent holocaust happening in real time. One that governments ignore, media mocks, and society gaslights into invisibility. Every 30 seconds, somewhere in the world, a man takes his own life. In the West, 75% of suicides are male. Divorced men are 8 times more likely to end their lives than married ones. These aren't numbers. They're ritual sacrifices. Schopenhauer saw it coming centuries ago. The first 40 years of life. Give us the text. The next 30 supply the commentary upon it. showing how much we have misunderstood. Most men never reach the commentary. They don't survive long enough to understand the trap. You are born into a world that resents your nature. That trains you from birth to see your instincts as dangerous, to apologize for your strength, to sacrifice without limit. But here's the thing. What you were told was virtue, was submission. What you were told was love, was leverage. What you were told was freedom, was control. The system doesn't need your belief. It only needs your obedience. The moment you stop cooperating, it begins to collapse. So the question is, will you keep serving a lie? Or will you finally walk away from the altar of your own destruction? In 2018, Marcus, a 32-year-old engineer, jumped from the 14th floor of his office building. His suicide note read, "I'm sorry I wasn't enough. Not smart enough for my father. Not strong enough for my wife. Not rich enough for society." What no? One said at his funeral. His wife had left him 6 months earlier, taking their daughter with her. A family court judge ruled he could only see his child twice a month, unless he increased his support payments. The last photo on Marcus' phone? A Google search. How to disappear without debt collectors finding you. This wasn't just a tragedy. This was systemic extermination. Let's break down the 3 lies that keep modern men in chains. Lie 1. Love will save you. From Disney movies to rom-coms, men are fed a single myth, that a woman's love is their redemption. That salvation comes wearing a smile and whispering, "I choose you." Schopenhauer destroyed this illusion in The World as Will and Representation. What we call love is often not freedom, but the chain itself. History proves it. Take Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Germany's literary icon. At 23, he fell hopelessly in love with Charlotte Buff, who was already engaged. The anguish consumed him. His heartbreak became The Sorrows of Young Werther, a novel so powerful it sparked a wave of suicides across Europe. Goethe's later reflection, love is an ideal thing, marriage a real thing. Confusing the two never goes unpunished. Men still haven't learned. They keep mortgaging their futures for the dopamine rush of a text message. Lie 2. Your value is your utility. You are told your worth is what you produce. A paycheck, a shield, a therapist, a handyman, an entertainer. Schopenhauer saw it coming. Men are treated like tools kept when? Lie 3. You are the problem. Therapists, HR departments, influencers, self-help gurus, all echo the same mantra. Heal yourself. But this is a trap. Schopenhauer warned. To convince a man that he is broken is to sell him lifelong repairs. In 1980, 1 in 200 men were on antidepressants. In 2024, 1 in 5. Has male happiness improved? Or has Big Pharma just turned wounded men into permanent patients? There is a way out, but it demands what Schopenhauer called the denial of the will. Not suicide, but the murder of illusion. Step 1. Become ungovernable. Delete dating apps. Opt out of marriages that function as legal servitude. Laugh when they call you toxic. The free man is he who does not fear being alone. Schopenhauer Step 2. Weaponize your suffering. Every great man bled for his legacy. Beethoven went deaf and composed immortal symphonies. Nietzsche endured migraines for a decade and wrote, "Thus spoke Zarathustra." Van Gogh sold 1 painting then. Transformed art forever. Your pain isn't a flaw. It's fuel. Step 3. Play the long game. Modern society rewards women early and men late. A woman's leverage peaks between 20 to 30. A man's peaks from 35 to 55 if he survives. Schopenhauer. Side. Time humbles women, but it elevates men. Take Hiroto, a Japanese salaryman. Fired at 40. Instead of collapsing, he spent 5 years mastering AI. At 50, he was hired by a Silicon Valley firm earning triple his old salary. His ex-wife? Working retail. The same woman who divorced him. For not being ambitious enough. His secret? I stopped living on their clock. Schopenhauer's greatest truth wasn't about women, or marriage, or even suffering. It was this. Most men would rather die than think. And that's exactly what they're doing. But you're still here, still watching, still thinking. That means there's hope. If this truth struck a nerve, if something clicked inside. YOU type will in the comments. And if you're ready to go deeper, to turn philosophy into power, to escape the illusions for good, then watch the next video. Because what comes next isn't just knowledge, it's freedom.